Before you decide this is just another story, stay here for a little while. There is something quietly unfolding, and every word you hear from this moment forward has been written to remind you that hope often arrives long before we recognize its footsteps. Don't skip, because what seems ordinary at first may reveal a meaning you were not expecting. Imagine, for just a moment, that somewhere in this wide and unpredictable world, two lives are moving closer without either one fully realizing it. One heart has been carrying unanswered questions. The other has been learning lessons it never expected to face. Neither journey has been perfect, yet both have been shaping something meaningful behind the scenes. And today, something changed. It was not a dramatic event. There were no flashing signs or impossible coincidences. Instead, it was a quiet realization, a conversation, a memory, a single unexpected moment that caused someone to pause and look at life differently. Sometimes the biggest turning points begin with the smallest thought. Sometimes one sentence is enough to change the direction of an entire chapter. If you've ever wondered why certain people continue to cross your mind, or why some seasons feel like preparation rather than arrival, perhaps you've already sensed what this story is gently pointing toward. Life has a remarkable way of connecting people only after they have grown into the version of themselves capable of appreciating that connection. Stay till the end, because something important is waiting for you. Not a prediction, not a promise, but a perspective that has encouraged countless people to keep believing that meaningful relationships are built through patience, kindness, and quiet growth rather than perfect timing. Now picture someone sitting in silence, reflecting on conversations they once dismissed. They begin remembering moments that suddenly carry new meaning. They are not searching for perfection anymore. They are searching for honesty, for peace, for someone whose presence feels like home instead of performance. They don't yet have every answer, but for the first time, they are asking the right questions. And perhaps the most remarkable part is this: while they are learning about themselves, you are changing too. Every challenge you've overcome, every quiet victory that nobody applauded, every decision to keep moving forward has been shaping a future version of you that is stronger, calmer, and more prepared than you realize. This is where today's story truly begins, not with certainty, but with possibility. Not with instant answers, but with a gentle invitation to believe that meaningful moments often arrive after seasons that seemed ordinary. What happened today may not make complete sense yet. But it has opened a door that neither person expected to see. The next part reveals what that unexpected moment was, and why it quietly changed the way this story could unfold. There is something fascinating about the moments that almost go unnoticed. They never arrive with loud announcements. They appear quietly, almost hidden inside an ordinary day, waiting for someone to recognize their meaning. This was one of those moments. It seemed small at first. A brief conversation, a thoughtful pause, a memory returning without invitation, but once it happened, everything was viewed through a different lens. Stay a little longer, because the next few moments reveal why this quiet change matters. Sometimes people spend so much time looking ahead that they forget to notice what has already begun shifting around them. Growth is rarely dramatic. More often, it whispers before it speaks. The person at the center of this story found themselves reflecting on things they had once overlooked. Familiar words suddenly carried new depth. Simple acts of kindness they had witnessed before now felt unforgettable. They realized that what leaves the deepest impression is rarely perfection, it is sincerity, patience, and the courage to remain genuine even when nobody seems to notice. Perhaps you've experienced something similar. Have you ever looked back on a single moment and realized it meant far more than you understood at the time? Those moments often become the quiet foundations of our greatest chapters. They remind us that meaningful connections are built gradually, one honest choice after another. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. As this reflection continued, another realization emerged. The qualities that truly draw people together are not loud achievements or carefully crafted appearances. They are the quiet strengths that reveal themselves over time: compassion during difficult seasons, hope when circumstances feel uncertain, and the willingness to keep moving forward without losing kindness. What surprised them most was not discovering something new about another person. It was recognizing how much they themselves had changed. The questions that once filled their mind no longer carried the same weight. They were beginning to value peace over uncertainty, understanding over assumptions, and authenticity over appearances. At the same time, life seemed to place gentle reminders in unexpected places. Familiar songs sounded different. Ordinary conversations lingered a little longer. Small moments invited deeper reflection. None of these experiences demanded attention, yet together they formed a quiet pattern that was impossible to ignore. Perhaps that is how meaningful stories begin, not through extraordinary events, but through ordinary moments that slowly reveal extraordinary meaning. Every step, every lesson, every unexpected pause prepares the heart to recognize what it once would have missed. The quiet shift has already begun, but one detail remains hidden. In the next part, a single unexpected discovery brings everything into sharper focus and reveals why this ordinary day may become one that is remembered for a very long time. Just when it seemed that every important piece had already fallen into place, another quiet detail appeared, one that no one had expected to notice. It did not arrive with excitement or urgency. Instead, it arrived through reflection. A simple thought refused to fade, returning again and again until it became impossible to ignore. Sometimes life asks us to slow down because the most meaningful answers cannot be heard while we are rushing. Stay till the end, because this part brings you closer to the heart of the story. Imagine someone sitting by themselves for a few peaceful moments, replaying conversations they once dismissed as ordinary. Suddenly, those same conversations begin revealing a different message. They realize that the people who leave the deepest impact are often the ones who never tried to force their place in someone's life. Their kindness remained steady. Their character remained consistent. Their presence spoke louder than their words ever could. Perhaps this is why certain memories never truly disappear. They wait patiently until we are ready to understand them. Have you noticed how a single moment from the past can suddenly feel completely different when viewed through the wisdom of today? That is not coincidence. It is growth allowing you to see what your earlier self could not. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. As the story continued unfolding, another realization quietly emerged. The connection they had been trying to define was never built on perfect timing. It was built on quiet respect, genuine care, and the willingness to become better with every passing season. Those qualities cannot be rushed, and that is exactly what makes them so valuable. For the first time in a long while, they stopped searching for certainty and started appreciating clarity. They understood that meaningful relationships are not created by dramatic moments alone. They are strengthened by countless small choices. Listening instead of assuming, encouraging instead of doubting, and remaining hopeful even when the next chapter has not yet revealed itself. As these thoughts settled, an unexpected sense of peace replaced the questions that had lingered for so long. It was as though a door had quietly opened, not revealing the entire journey, but offering just enough light to take the next confident step. That light did not promise perfection. It simply reminded them that some paths become clear only after we continue walking. And then, one final detail appeared. It was so simple that most people would have overlooked it completely. Yet for them, it connected every unanswered question into one meaningful picture. In that quiet instant, they understood why this story had been unfolding exactly as it had. The next part reveals what that final detail was, and why it became the moment that changed the direction of everything that followed. A quiet truth often waits until the perfect moment to reveal itself, and this was that moment. Nothing extraordinary appeared on the outside. The world continued moving as it always had. Yet inside, everything felt different. One small realization connected every unanswered question, every unexpected delay, and every lesson that had once seemed impossible to understand. It was never about reaching a destination as quickly as possible. It was about becoming the kind of person who could truly appreciate what was waiting ahead. Stay with this story a little longer, because something important is waiting for you. There are moments when life gently reminds us that the most meaningful connections are not built through perfect circumstances. They grow through patience, understanding, and the quiet decision to remain authentic even when nobody is watching. Those qualities have a way of reaching people more deeply than we ever realize. As the reflection continued, another thought quietly settled into place. Every chapter that once felt incomplete had been teaching something valuable. The disappointments had created resilience. The waiting had developed wisdom. The unexpected turns had revealed strengths that could never have been discovered on an easy road. Looking back, nothing felt wasted anymore. Even the slow seasons had carried hidden purpose. Perhaps you have experienced something similar. Maybe there have been days when you questioned whether your efforts mattered or whether your quiet kindness was being noticed at all. Yet the remarkable thing about genuine character is that it leaves an impression long after the moment has passed. People may forget conversations, but they rarely forget how someone consistently made them feel. Don't skip. Because this gentle realization leads to something even deeper. The person in this story began understanding that meaningful relationships are not held together by constant excitement. They are strengthened by trust, by calm conversations, by shared respect, and by the confidence that grows naturally over time. Suddenly, what once felt uncertain no longer seemed confusing. It simply required patience. Then another unexpected moment arrived. A familiar memory surfaced, but this time it brought a quiet smile instead of unanswered questions. They recognized details they had overlooked before, small gestures, thoughtful words, and simple acts of encouragement that had quietly remained in their heart all along. Those moments had never disappeared. They had simply been waiting for the right perspective. With every passing thought, the picture became clearer. The story was not asking anyone to rush forward or force an outcome. It was inviting them to appreciate the journey that had shaped both hearts into something stronger than they had been before. Sometimes the greatest progress is invisible until we pause long enough to notice it. And just when it seemed that every piece had finally found its place, another unexpected discovery quietly appeared on the horizon. It was gentle, hopeful, and impossible to ignore. It would explain why today's story was only the beginning. And why the next chapter carries the most meaningful revelation of all. Before the next page of this story quietly unfolds, pause for one gentle moment and notice how much has already changed. Not because the world suddenly became different, but because understanding has a way of transforming even the smallest details. What once looked like coincidence now feels meaningful. What once felt like waiting now feels like preparation. And that quiet shift is where today's story begins to reveal its deepest purpose. Stay till the end, because something important is waiting for you. There are times when two journeys begin moving toward one another without either person realizing it. One is learning how to let go of old expectations. The other is discovering the value of honesty, patience, and quiet consistency. Neither journey is perfect, yet both are becoming stronger with every lesson they embrace. As the days continued, another realization gently settled into place. The person you've been imagining throughout this story no longer searched for answers in loud moments. Instead, they found clarity in silence. They noticed how peace often speaks more clearly than uncertainty ever could. They understood that genuine connection is never measured by dramatic gestures alone. It is revealed through trust that grows naturally, conversations that bring comfort, and a presence that makes ordinary moments feel meaningful. Perhaps that is why certain people remain in our thoughts longer than expected. Not because life asks us to dwell on the past, but because some encounters quietly leave behind lessons that continue unfolding long after the conversation ends. Every smile remembered, every encouraging word, every act of kindness becomes part of a story that is still being written. Don't skip, because this next realization may stay with you long after this video ends. Imagine recognizing that your greatest strength has never been perfection. It has always been your ability to keep moving forward with kindness, even when life offered no immediate explanation. That quiet strength has been shaping your path in ways you may not fully see today, but its influence reaches farther than you know. Then came a moment that seemed almost ordinary. A familiar name appeared in conversation. A memory returned without effort. A simple smile followed. Nothing about it demanded attention, yet everything about it carried quiet significance. It reminded them that meaningful connections are rarely built in a single day. They are created through countless small moments that slowly become impossible to forget. With every passing reflection, confidence quietly replaced uncertainty. There was no need to force answers or hurry the next chapter. Some stories become beautiful precisely because they unfold one page at a time. Every lesson, every pause, every unexpected turn has been adding depth to a journey that is only now beginning to make complete sense. And just when it seemed the story had revealed all it intended to reveal, one final conversation quietly began. No audience witnessed it. No grand announcement surrounded it. Yet the words spoken there would become the gentle turning point that connects every chapter you've heard so far. What was shared in that quiet conversation changes the meaning of everything, and that is where the next part begins. Some conversations are remembered not because they are long, but because they arrive at exactly the right moment. This was one of those conversations. There were no perfect speeches, no dramatic declarations, only honest words spoken with quiet sincerity. In that peaceful exchange, something became clear that had been hidden beneath countless ordinary days. Sometimes the answers we seek have been growing quietly beside us all along, waiting until we are ready to recognize them. Stay with this story, because something important is waiting for you. As each thought settled, the atmosphere seemed lighter. The uncertainty that once filled every silent moment slowly gave way to calm understanding. It was not that every question had suddenly disappeared. Rather, they no longer carried the same weight. Clarity has a remarkable way of replacing worry without needing to explain everything at once. The person in this story found themselves appreciating details they had overlooked before. A thoughtful gesture. A genuine smile. Words of encouragement that had stayed in their heart far longer than they realized. Looking back, they understood that meaningful connections are rarely built through extraordinary events. They are created through simple moments that quietly repeat until trust becomes stronger than doubt. Perhaps you have experienced this in your own life. Have you ever realized that someone's kindness meant more to you months later than it did on the day it happened? That is the quiet beauty of sincere relationships. Their value often grows with time instead of fading away. Don't skip, because the next realization gently changes the direction of everything. As the story continued, another truth began to shine through. The most lasting connections are not formed because everything happens perfectly. They grow because both people continue learning, continue listening, and continue choosing understanding even when life becomes unpredictable. That steady choice is far more powerful than any single remarkable moment. Then came a peaceful pause. No words were spoken for a while, yet the silence itself seemed meaningful. It allowed every lesson from the journey to settle into place. The waiting had created patience. The uncertainty had created wisdom. The quiet seasons had revealed strengths that could never have appeared during easier times. Suddenly, every chapter belonged exactly where it was. And then, almost without warning, one final piece quietly appeared. It was small enough that many would have overlooked it completely, yet it connected every part of the story into one beautiful picture. A familiar feeling returned, not with confusion, but with confidence. Not with urgency, but with peace. It was the gentle reminder that meaningful stories do not end when we expect them to. They continue unfolding one quiet moment at a time. The next part brings you to the moment where everything finally begins to make sense, revealing why this journey had to unfold exactly as it did and why the most meaningful chapter has not yet been told. There comes a moment in every meaningful story when silence stops feeling empty and begins feeling full of possibility. This was that moment. Nothing around them seemed different, yet everything within them had quietly shifted. The questions that once demanded immediate answers had softened into quiet confidence. They no longer felt the need to rush toward tomorrow because they had finally learned the value of fully seeing today. Stay till the end. Because something important is waiting for you. The next few moments reveal why this journey was never about chasing an outcome. It was about discovering a deeper understanding of connection, one that grows through patience rather than pressure. Sometimes the greatest changes happen so gently that we only recognize them when we look back and realize how much we've grown. As the story continued, another realization appeared with surprising clarity. Every meaningful person we meet leaves behind something valuable. Some offer encouragement. Some teach resilience. Others remind us that kindness is never wasted, even when it seems unnoticed. Every encounter becomes part of the person we are becoming, quietly shaping our future one moment at a time. Perhaps that is why certain memories continue returning, not to hold us in the past, but to show us how far we have come. Think about the version of yourself from a year ago. The hopes, the questions, the lessons. You have already walked farther than you may give yourself credit for. Growth often happens so gradually that we fail to notice it until one peaceful day everything begins to make sense. Don't skip, because this gentle turning point changes the meaning of everything you've heard so far. The person in this story finally understood that they had been searching for certainty when life had been offering something even greater: steady trust. Trust that genuine relationships are built over time. Trust that every season carries its own purpose. Trust that the right conversations arrive when both hearts are ready to truly hear them. Then an unexpected feeling settled in. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't surprise. It was gratitude. Gratitude for every lesson that once seemed difficult. Gratitude for every quiet pause that encouraged reflection. Gratitude for every chapter that prepared them for this moment without them even realizing it. In that instant, they understood that nothing meaningful had been lost. Every experience had quietly become part of something beautiful. And just before this chapter closed, one final thought remained. Some stories are not remembered because they were dramatic. They are remembered because they gently changed the way we see ourselves, the people around us, and the possibilities still waiting ahead. This story has been leading toward that realization from the very beginning. The next part opens the final stretch of this journey, where one heartfelt realization brings every quiet clue together and reveals why today's message arrived exactly when it needed to. Just when it felt as though every unanswered question had gently settled into place, one final realization quietly stepped forward. It did not ask for attention. It simply waited to be noticed. The remarkable thing about meaningful moments is that they rarely announce themselves. They arrive softly, almost like a familiar melody you suddenly understand in a completely new way. Stay with this story until its final moments, because something important is waiting for you. Imagine looking back over every chapter you've heard so far and recognizing that none of them were separate. Every quiet pause, every thoughtful reflection, every unexpected turn was leading toward a single understanding. Genuine connection begins long before two people fully recognize its value. It begins in personal growth, in quiet courage, and in the choice to remain kind even when life offers no immediate answers. The person in this story smiled, not because every mystery had been solved, but because they no longer needed every detail to move forward with hope. They had discovered something far more valuable than certainty. They had discovered peace. And peace has a beautiful way of making tomorrow feel brighter without demanding that we know exactly what tomorrow holds. Perhaps this is the message that quietly found you today. Not to tell you exactly what your future will be, but to remind you that your journey continues to unfold with every thoughtful choice you make. Every act of patience, every moment of understanding, every decision to keep believing in kindness becomes another page in a story that is still being written. Don't skip, because this final reflection brings everything together. If there is one truth hidden within every part of this journey, it is this: meaningful relationships are not built by extraordinary moments alone. They are built by ordinary days filled with honesty, respect, encouragement, and the willingness to grow together one step at a time. Those quiet qualities create memories that last far longer than excitement ever could. As the sun quietly sets on this chapter, another one is already beginning beyond the horizon. There will be new conversations to cherish, new lessons to embrace, and new opportunities to recognize the beauty that often hides within simple moments. Life continues moving forward, not in haste, but with gentle purpose. So carry this thought with you after the story ends. Sometimes the message we believe is coming from someone else is also an invitation to listen more carefully to our own heart, to appreciate how much we have grown, to remain open to meaningful connections, and to trust that the next chapter is shaped by the kindness we choose today. And somewhere beyond today's final words, another story is quietly waiting to begin. One filled with fresh possibilities, new discoveries, and moments that may one day make you smile as you realize they were leading you here all along. The story could have ended with quiet understanding, but life has a beautiful way of adding one more page when we least expect it. As the evening grew calmer, another thought gently surfaced, one that had been waiting patiently beneath every moment you have heard until now. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Yet it carried a quiet significance that could not be ignored. Stay till the end, because something important is waiting for you. The person at the center of this journey realized that they had been looking for a single life-changing moment, while life had been offering hundreds of meaningful ones all along. Every encouraging word, every unexpected smile, every lesson learned during uncertain seasons had been preparing their heart to recognize what truly matters. Perhaps this speaks to you as well. There are seasons when progress feels invisible, when each day seems no different from the last. But growth often happens beneath the surface, like roots becoming stronger before anyone sees the first new branch. What feels ordinary today may become the moment you remember most tomorrow. As these reflections settled, a gentle sense of gratitude replaced every lingering question. Instead of asking, "When will everything happen?" they began asking, "What beautiful lesson is this moment already giving me?" That simple change transformed everything. The future no longer felt distant. It felt connected to every thoughtful choice being made in the present. Don't skip, because this next realization quietly completes another piece of the story. They understood that meaningful relationships are never built on perfect timing alone. They flourish when two people continue becoming their best selves, choosing patience over hurry, understanding over assumption, and kindness over pride. Those quiet decisions create the strongest foundations. Then came one final unexpected reminder. A familiar phrase, once overlooked, returned to their mind with completely new meaning. It reminded them that some of the most important conversations are never spoken aloud. They happen within the heart, where hope grows stronger than uncertainty and gratitude becomes louder than doubt. At that moment, everything felt lighter. Not because every mystery had been explained, but because they had learned to appreciate the beauty of a journey that unfolds one peaceful step at a time. The waiting no longer felt empty. It felt meaningful. Every chapter had contributed something valuable, and every lesson had gently shaped the road ahead. The story is almost ready to reveal its final message, but one beautiful detail remains unseen. In the next part, the quiet thread connecting every chapter is finally revealed, bringing this journey to a heartfelt conclusion that has been waiting from the very beginning. A gentle feeling lingered in the air, as though the story itself was asking for one final moment before revealing what had quietly been there from the beginning. Nothing rushed forward. Nothing demanded attention. Instead, every lesson, every reflection, and every peaceful pause began fitting together like pieces of a picture that could only be understood after stepping back to see it as a whole. Stay with this story, because something important is waiting for you. The greatest discoveries are not always found in extraordinary moments. More often, they are found when we realize how much we have grown without even noticing it. The person in this journey smiled as they looked back. They saw that every season, whether joyful, uncertain, or quiet, had added something valuable. Every experience had shaped a heart that now understood the difference between simply waiting and truly growing. Perhaps that is the hidden gift within every meaningful journey. We spend so much time hoping for the next chapter that we forget today's chapter is already changing us. The conversations we have, the kindness we choose, the patience we practice, these become the invisible threads that connect one beautiful moment to the next. Don't skip, because this realization brings the story closer than ever to its true purpose. Imagine discovering that the message you thought was arriving from somewhere outside was also awakening something within you. A renewed appreciation for the people who encourage you. A deeper gratitude for the lessons that strengthened you. A quiet confidence that your future is built one thoughtful decision at a time. As those thoughts settled, another peaceful understanding appeared. Meaningful connections are not measured by how quickly they begin. They are measured by the character they inspire, the hope they awaken, and the calm they bring into everyday life. The strongest bonds are often created through consistency, honesty, and the willingness to keep showing kindness even when no one is counting the moments. The person at the heart of this story no longer wondered whether every answer had already arrived. Instead, they became excited about the possibilities still ahead. They understood that every sunrise offers another opportunity to become wiser, more compassionate, and more present than the day before. That realization alone made the journey feel worthwhile. And then, just before this chapter came to a close, one quiet truth remained. The most unforgettable stories are not remembered because they end with loud celebrations. They are remembered because they leave the heart lighter than it was before. They remind us that hope is strengthened through patience, that trust grows through sincerity, and that every meaningful path is shaped one peaceful step at a time. Only one final chapter remains. It gathers every quiet clue, every heartfelt reflection, and every meaningful moment into one lasting message, one that was waiting for you from the very first words of this journey. And now, without rushing a single moment, the final page quietly opens. If you have stayed with this journey until now, you may have already noticed that the greatest message was never hidden inside one dramatic event. It was unfolding gently through every reflection, every pause, and every quiet realization. Sometimes the most meaningful answers do not arrive all at once, they reveal themselves one peaceful step at a time. Stay until the very last words, because this final thought brings the entire story together. The person you have been imagining throughout this journey came to understand that the conversation they had been waiting for was never only about another person. It was also about becoming someone who could recognize genuine connection with gratitude, patience, and an open heart. That understanding changed everything. Perhaps this story found you for the same reason. Not to predict tomorrow or promise a certain outcome, but to remind you that every day gives you another opportunity to grow into the person you hope to become. Every kind decision, every hopeful thought, every moment you choose understanding instead of assumption quietly shapes the life you are creating. The message that seemed so urgent at the beginning was not urgent because of fear. It was important because meaningful moments deserve our attention. In a busy world, we often overlook the simple conversations, the encouraging words, the unexpected smiles, and the quiet acts of kindness that leave the deepest marks on our lives. Yet those are the moments that remain with us long after everything else has faded. As the journey reaches its close, imagine carrying this one thought with you. No chapter is ever truly wasted when it teaches you wisdom, strengthens your character, or reminds you to value the people who bring peace into your life. Even the quiet seasons have purpose. Even the ordinary days hold possibilities waiting to be discovered. Take a gentle look at how far you have already come. The person you are today is not the same person who began this journey. Every lesson has added something meaningful. Every challenge has revealed quiet strength. Every hopeful step has brought you closer to becoming the version of yourself that approaches life with courage, compassion, and confidence. And if there is one final message to leave in your heart, it is this: meaningful connections are not built in a single extraordinary moment. They are created through countless ordinary moments filled with honesty, respect, patience, and kindness. Those are the moments that quietly become unforgettable. So as this story comes to its peaceful conclusion, let it leave you with hope rather than certainty, gratitude rather than urgency, and quiet anticipation rather than unanswered questions. Because every new day carries another opportunity to write a beautiful page in your own story, and sometimes, the most meaningful conversations begin with nothing more than an open heart, a calm spirit, and the willingness to keep moving forward. The journey may end here, but the best chapters of your story are still waiting to be written. Long after the final words seemed to fade, one quiet thought remained. It stayed in the heart like the last light of an evening sky, gentle enough to bring peace and strong enough to inspire another beginning. The story had never been asking you to search for something far away. It had been inviting you to notice the quiet beauty already growing within your own journey. Stay with this final reflection. Because something important is waiting for you. Every meaningful path is shaped by ordinary choices that are made with extraordinary care. A kind word offered at the right moment. A patient heart that refuses to lose hope. A decision to move forward with grace instead of rushing toward answers. These are the moments that quietly become the foundation of tomorrow. Perhaps, after hearing this story, you will notice small things differently. A familiar conversation may carry new meaning. A peaceful morning may remind you to appreciate how far you have already come. An unexpected smile may become a reminder that kindness often travels farther than we ever imagine. The greatest transformations rarely happen all at once. They unfold one thoughtful step at a time. Don't skip this final message, because it gently brings everything together. The heart grows strongest not when every question is answered, but when it learns to trust the value of each new day. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to become wiser, more compassionate, and more present than the day before. That quiet progress is something worth celebrating. As this journey settles into memory, remember that every chapter of life carries its own purpose. Some chapters encourage you to dream. Others teach you patience. Some remind you to be courageous. And the quiet ones, the ones that seem ordinary, often prepare you for the most meaningful moments still ahead. If this story leaves anything behind, let it be this simple truth: your greatest strength has never been found in perfect circumstances. It has always been found in your willingness to keep choosing hope, to keep offering kindness, and to keep believing that every new beginning starts with one peaceful step. So walk into your next chapter with a calm heart and an open mind. Let gratitude guide your thoughts, let patience shape your decisions, and let every ordinary day remind you that beautiful stories are written one meaningful moment at a time. And somewhere beyond today's final reflection, another quiet beginning is already waiting, ready to unfold, ready to inspire, and ready to remind you once again that the most beautiful journeys are never rushed. They are lived, appreciated, and remembered with hope. Even after everything you've heard, there is one gentle truth that has been quietly waiting until this very moment. It is not hidden because it is difficult to understand. It remained unseen because some lessons can only be appreciated after the journey has been experienced. Now, as this story reaches its final quiet moments, every piece begins to settle exactly where it belongs. Stay with these last words, because something important is waiting for you. Think about how many times life has surprised you, not through extraordinary events, but through simple moments that slowly became unforgettable. A conversation that stayed in your heart. A kind gesture that returned to your memory months later. A season that once felt uncertain but eventually revealed why it was necessary. Those moments remind us that life often speaks in whispers before it speaks in celebrations. Perhaps that is why this journey felt so personal. It was never about finding perfect answers. It was about discovering a calmer way to move forward. Every thoughtful choice, every patient step, every act of kindness has been quietly preparing you for the chapters that still lie ahead. Growth has been happening, even on the days when it felt invisible. Don't skip this final reflection, because it brings the heart of the story into focus. The most meaningful connections are strengthened by qualities that never lose their value. Honesty, respect, encouragement, understanding, and the willingness to keep growing. These are the quiet gifts that remain long after excitement fades. They create memories that last because they are built on something real and lasting. As you look ahead, remember that every new day offers another opportunity to become the person you hope to be. There is no need to rush the journey or compare your path with anyone else's. Your story unfolds at its own pace, and that pace has allowed you to learn lessons that could not have been discovered any other way. Now the message that seemed so important at the beginning reveals its deepest meaning. Sometimes the conversation we have been waiting for begins within ourselves. It begins the moment we choose gratitude over worry, hope over doubt, patience over hurry, and kindness over pride. From that quiet decision, every future chapter becomes brighter. So let today's story remain with you, not as a prediction, but as a reminder that every meaningful beginning starts with a peaceful heart. Carry that peace into tomorrow. Carry it into every conversation, every opportunity, and every new chapter that life places before you. And as one journey gently comes to a close, another is already waiting just beyond the horizon, filled with fresh possibilities, quiet joy, and beautiful moments that are ready to be discovered one step at a time. Before this journey quietly slips into memory, allow yourself one last peaceful moment. Not to search for another hidden message, but to notice how differently your heart may be listening now than it was when these words first began. Sometimes the greatest gift a story can offer is not an answer, it is a new way of seeing the ordinary moments that have always been quietly surrounding us. Stay until the final words, because something important is waiting for you. Every chapter you have heard has been gently pointing toward one simple truth. Meaningful connections are not created by chance alone. They are nurtured through kindness, strengthened by patience, and sustained by the quiet choice to remain authentic every single day. Those qualities never lose their value, no matter where life leads. If this story has reminded you of someone, let that reminder inspire gratitude rather than urgency. If it has encouraged you to reflect on your own journey, let that reflection become the beginning of something beautiful. Every thoughtful decision you make today has the power to shape tomorrow in ways that cannot always be seen immediately. That is the quiet beauty of growth, it continues even when we are not looking. Don't skip this final reflection, because it may be the most meaningful one of all. The message that seemed to begin with another person has gently led you back to yourself. It has reminded you that hope grows stronger when it is practiced, that peace becomes deeper when it is shared, and that genuine relationships flourish where honesty and respect are allowed to grow naturally. As you continue writing your own story, remember that there is no perfect timeline for a meaningful life. Some dreams take longer because they are preparing you to appreciate them more fully. Some seasons feel quiet because they are giving your heart room to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Trust the value of those quiet seasons. They often become the foundation of life's most treasured memories. So walk forward with confidence, not because you know every answer, but because you know the kind of person you choose to become. Carry kindness into your conversations. Carry patience into your waiting. Carry gratitude into your everyday moments. These simple choices have a remarkable way of creating extraordinary stories over time. And if one lasting thought remains after today's journey, let it be this: every sunrise is an invitation to begin again with hope, every ordinary day holds the possibility of an unforgettable memory, and every genuine connection begins with a heart that is willing to listen, to grow, and to appreciate the quiet blessings already present along the way. Thank you for walking through this story from beginning to end. May the peace, hope, and gentle encouragement you discovered here remain with you long after these words have faded, reminding you that your own most meaningful chapters are still waiting to be written. One last quiet moment remains. Not because the story needs another ending, but because every meaningful journey deserves a gentle pause before it becomes a memory. If you have stayed until now, you have done more than simply follow a narration. You have walked through a reflection about hope, patience, and the quiet beauty of becoming the person you are meant to be. Stay for these final words, because something important is waiting for you. The message that seemed so urgent at the beginning was never meant to fill your heart with uncertainty. It was meant to remind you that some of life's most meaningful conversations begin the moment we become willing to slow down, appreciate the present, and recognize the value of sincere connections. Perhaps the greatest surprise was never about what someone else might say. Perhaps the greatest surprise is realizing how much strength, kindness, and wisdom have already been growing within you. Every challenge has added resilience. Every quiet season has added perspective. Every hopeful step has been preparing you for the chapters that are still ahead. As this story gently comes to its close, imagine looking toward tomorrow with calm confidence instead of unanswered questions. There are new conversations waiting to happen, new friendships to appreciate, new opportunities to encourage others, and new moments that may one day become memories you treasure. The future is not asking you to rush toward it. It is inviting you to arrive one peaceful day at a time. Don't forget what this journey has quietly repeated from beginning to end. The moments that change us most are rarely the loudest ones. They are the thoughtful conversations that inspire us to become better. The acts of kindness that remind us we are never too small to make a difference. The patient decisions that slowly build a life filled with purpose and gratitude. So wherever your own path leads after today, carry these quiet reminders with you. Let your words bring encouragement. Let your actions reflect compassion. Let your heart remain open to learning, growing, and appreciating the ordinary moments that so often become life's greatest treasures. And if, someday, you find yourself thinking back to this story, remember not the mystery that first captured your attention, but the peace that remained after every question had settled. That peace is a reminder that meaningful journeys are not measured by how quickly they unfold, but by how deeply they shape the person who walks them. Now this chapter truly comes to rest. Another sunrise will bring another opportunity. Another ordinary day will carry another extraordinary possibility. And somewhere ahead, without hurry and without noise, a brand new story is already beginning. One that will be written with hope, kindness, gratitude, and the quiet courage to keep moving forward, one beautiful step at a time. Even though the story has reached what seemed like its final page, there is one gentle realization that quietly lingers, like the first light of dawn after a peaceful night. Some messages are not meant to end the moment they are heard. They continue living within us, revealing new meaning each time we remember them. Perhaps this is one of those messages. Stay with these closing moments, because something important is waiting for you. As you reflect on everything this journey has shared, notice how the focus has gradually changed. What began as curiosity about an important conversation slowly became a reminder that every meaningful relationship is strengthened by the person we choose to become each day. Kindness grows through practice. Patience grows through experience. Trust grows through consistency. These quiet qualities become the foundation of every lasting connection. There will be mornings when life feels wonderfully clear, and there may be days when the next step seems uncertain. Yet both kinds of days have value. The bright ones remind us to celebrate. The quieter ones remind us to reflect. Together, they shape a story that is richer than either season could create alone. Don't skip these final reflections, because they carry the heart of everything you've heard. Never underestimate the power of a gentle word, a listening ear, a sincere smile, or a thoughtful act of encouragement. These simple moments often become the memories that people carry long after the details of the day have faded. The smallest expressions of kindness can leave the greatest impression. As this journey settles into your heart, allow yourself to carry forward not the unanswered questions, but the quiet confidence you discovered along the way. Let every new chapter be guided by gratitude instead of hurry. Let every conversation be shaped by understanding instead of assumption. Let every ordinary day remind you that extraordinary meaning is often hidden within life's simplest moments. Perhaps that is why this story found you today. Not to provide every answer, but to remind you that hope is renewed each morning, that growth continues even when it feels unseen, and that meaningful connections flourish where compassion and authenticity are allowed to grow. So as you step into whatever tomorrow brings, do so with a peaceful heart. Trust the lessons you have learned. Appreciate the people who bring light into your life. Continue becoming someone whose presence leaves others feeling encouraged, understood, and valued. And if this story ever returns to your thoughts, let it remind you of one lasting truth: the most beautiful journeys are never remembered because they rushed toward the ending. They are remembered because every step along the way carried purpose, every quiet moment carried meaning, and every hopeful choice became part of a life that continued unfolding with grace, one beautiful day at a time. As the final echoes of this journey settle into silence, one last gentle invitation remains. It is not an invitation to search outside yourself, but to carry forward everything this story has quietly awakened within you. Some journeys end with applause. Others end with peace. And sometimes, peace is the most unforgettable ending of all. Stay until the very last line, because something important is waiting for you. If you think back to where this story began, you may remember the feeling of curiosity that first drew you in. Now that curiosity has transformed into something calmer. A quiet appreciation for the small moments that shape our lives more than we often realize. Every conversation, every thoughtful pause, every kind decision becomes part of a larger story that only time can fully reveal. There is beauty in knowing that not every meaningful moment arrives with perfect timing. Some arrive exactly when our hearts have become ready to receive them. They remind us that growth is rarely loud. It happens in the unseen choices we make each day. Choosing patience instead of frustration, gratitude instead of comparison, understanding instead of assumption. These quiet victories deserve to be celebrated because they slowly transform who we become. Don't skip this final reflection, because it may stay with you long after today's journey has ended. Imagine looking back months from now and realizing that this very season was not empty at all. It was quietly preparing you. Every lesson you embraced, every challenge you faced with courage, and every act of kindness you shared became another step toward a life filled with deeper purpose and stronger connections. As this story gently fades, let your heart remain open to the ordinary miracles of everyday life. A meaningful conversation with someone you care about. A peaceful sunrise that reminds you to begin again. A simple smile exchanged with a stranger. These moments may seem small, yet they often become the memories we treasure most. Carry this truth with you wherever your journey leads. Your value is not measured by how quickly life changes around you. It is reflected in the compassion you show, the integrity you keep, and the hope you continue to nurture, even during quiet seasons. Those qualities leave a lasting impression on everyone whose path crosses yours. So take your next step with confidence. Welcome each new day with a grateful heart. Continue growing, continue encouraging, and continue believing that every chapter, whether exciting or peaceful, has something meaningful to teach you. And now, as these final words come to rest, let them leave you with one enduring thought: the most beautiful stories are never remembered for a single dramatic moment. They are remembered because they gently changed the way we see ourselves, the people around us, and the possibilities waiting beyond the horizon. May your own story continue to unfold with hope, wisdom, kindness, and quiet joy, one meaningful moment, one meaningful day, and one meaningful chapter at a time.